All right, hey guys. In this video, I want to talk about stress management, and really how you can help to mitigate some of these that we experience in the construction industry. So, some of you might know my story in that I had taken a job at a new engineering firm, or at least new to me, right? I went from being an electrical discipline director, having 9 people under me. We were doing 1.5 million square feet roughly a year of educational space, K 12 projects across the Midwest, right? Indiana, Ohio. And then we did some nationally, but primarily Indiana, Ohio, some in Michigan, and then nationally. So we did some projects in Texas, North Carolina, and then the firm had just won a few in like Utah. So we were primarily there, and then I moved into a MEP firm where I was going to potentially be. Well, that's not important. That part of the story isn't important on promises and unmade and all that kind of stuff. So moved into a firm as a senior engineer, and then within 3 months of being there, the project manager for the healthcare, I guess, division of the office, and those projects quit. So he was a PM, mechanical engineer, and then I, as electrical engineer, took over all the healthcare projects, project managing them, being engineer of record, lead electrical engineer, and then also lead electrical engineer for an engineer of record for other projects. So had a lot of responsibilities put on me, but especially on the healthcare side, right? It's not something I had ever done before, very new to me. And we were doing a 30 operating room renovation project. And really, as soon as that project got put out the door for design documents, I ended up getting shingles. And this was right before vacation. And, so I spent the week that I was in Maui just in pain, man. Shingles were on the left side of my body, so on my chest, on my back. It itched like crazy, kind of a low grade pain, 3, 4 on the pain scale for pretty much that whole time. Couldn't sleep really, couldn't have any alcohol or drinks. So being on vacation, and it was supposed to be relaxing and nice and easy, and it was nothing of the sort. And so recently, one of my friends got shingles in his 40s, right? I was 27 at the time. And it really just goes to show that, and he's in a stressful situation, that the stress on the body, and if you asked me at the time, was I stressed? I would have told you no, right? I would have been like, nah, man, I'm fine. I'm cool. Like everything's good. And part of that's like the machoism, right? Being a dude. No, it's just like it's work, sure, there's some stress and anxiety to it, but it's okay, right? And sure, I was drinking like 5 nights a week, right? And yeah, I wasn't eating the best, right? But no, I'm fine. So this video is really about just understanding that a lot of things can wait till tomorrow in our industry. And now this probably isn't like the best thing to say, or anything like that. And really, the getting shingles, being stressed, having those projects, getting the weight of the world put on my shoulders in this firm really opened my eyes to just a lot of stuff. I mean, that's why I created Kowabunga Studios. It's why we focus on automation, why getting the tedious, time consuming tasks out of the way so that the engineers can focus on the bigger picture, the bigger mission, get questions answered by the owner, design items, all that stuff. But, past why Kowabunga Studios was created, I want to again hammer this point home of like, in our industry, right, in the construction industry, in A&E firms, it's standard to work 50 hours a week, right, 10-hour days. Like that's pretty much standard. And then when you start getting into 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, and just the stress that comes with it, and the commitments, not only from a time aspect, but from just everything that can go wrong in that scenario, man, it can be very problematic, very stressful, and it comes home with you, right? You don't just leave that at work. And far too often there's a few things that really cause this problem. One is just a feeling of like you don't have any help, right? That no one in the firm is coming to save you. And maybe that was true, right? I felt that that was true, or the help that I was given really wasn't good. It was an intern. No one really qualified to do anything, and they screwed a lot of stuff up that I had to redo. Um, so it may be true that no one is coming to save you. It may be true that you have to do all that work to get the thing out the door, right? And it may be true that everybody is riding you to get that done. And it might be that you just need to leave that environment, right? That might be one cause. And for me, that was the case, right? Whether I left that firm or left, ultimately I left the industry. Well, like I stepped aside of the industry to help everybody back in the industry. But maybe you need to leave that firm, right? The firm I came to previously, or was working at previously, where we were doing health or higher education buildings, right? K-12 primarily. That was a great job. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a great firm to work for. Everything about it was good. And I just was not stressed, right? We had good projects. Timelines were awesome. The crew I was working with was fantastic. And it was just a great place to work. And so, the other firm that I went to work for, thinking it was a better opportunity, just the grass was not greener on the other side. And that, was ultimately a problem, right? It caused my health, and it just was not worth that moving forward. So when you think about a lot of this stuff, right, is it truly the firm that you're working for? Is the firm truly a problem? And it might be. Like it honestly might be. The other one is, are you just creating a lot of undue anxiety around projects, right? Are you making it so that you're constantly looking at your phone, you're constantly checking emails, and you don't clock out at whatever time, right? It might be 5, 6, 7, whatever time that the day ends for you, and you go home right after the gym or whatever you do in the evenings. Like maybe you do leave at 5 o'clock, but you got there at 7, right? And you're done. And so if that's the case, like, can you just turn it off, right? If something is super important, they will call you. They will find a way to get in touch with you. If the world is truly burning and they have to be dealt with like that night, by and large, most things can be dealt with tomorrow. And I think that we forget this, that, it can wait 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours to be dealt with, right? A meeting can be scheduled tomorrow. You can make that call first thing in the morning to whoever you need to talk to deal with whatever issue might be coming up, right? More likely than not, it's not going to get solved at 7 o'clock at night. More likely than not, right? The vast, vast, vast majority of issues are not going to be solved at night. So we have to then look to, the next day to get it done and out the door. Again, leaving work and putting that phone down to where you're not just causing a bunch of anxiety that can't ever be released because you can't do anything about it, right? You're going to constantly think about like that person that you need to call, that thing you need to do, somebody you need to talk to. And that in and of itself is just going to cause you a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of just tension within your body that can't be released. You can't let it go because it's not going to get resolved until the next day, right? So because nothing can be done about it, why would you even try to find out about something if you can't do anything about it until tomorrow, right? Like you just find out about it tomorrow, then you can deal with it immediately, resolve the issue, and move on. And often, that's not how we do. We respond all the time. We're on 24/7, and our body just then has this stress response to what's going on. And ultimately that becomes it's just a big problem that I see within the industry in how we deal with a lot of issues, right? And so have guys that have high blood pressure, they're on blood pressure medication, they're primed for a heart attack or stroke, right? They're obese, because they're not eating well, they're drinking all the time, they aren't going to the gym because they're working, right? They're not prioritizing their health. They have some other illness. I talked to a guy once where like his heartbeat went so fast that he started shaking, right? He was in the emergency room for whatever, 8, 10, 12 hours. And like, his heart rate was so high and he was shaking just because his pulse went through the roof. So when you look at like all these scenarios and what we happen to have within the industry, you like, is that project worth your health? Is that project, or thinking about that thing and saving and doing it within 6 hours at 10 o'clock at night, is that worth you having, something happen to you while you're driving home? For most people it's not, man. And I've had some friends here recently that are going through, they're working crazy hours. And I am all for hard work. Like, please do not get this wrong. Like, I'm a workaholic just like the rest of you. But there's a good chunk of you guys that need to turn it off at night. You need to give your brain the ability to shut down. You're doing a lot of it with alcohol. And again, I lived that life, right? That's how I got there, 27. So I'm just ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff. And so when you stop drinking, but you still have that stress, you need to find a way to turn your brain off, right? Might be just watching a movie, putting that phone away, and not having it next to you. Simple things like this and putting that phone away will solve probably 90% of your issues, right? A lot of that stress will go away. And then go a little bit old school, man. Like, use pen, paper, pad, write your thoughts down. Like, if you're the type of person that's got to send an email right when they think of something, I get it. My brain is very active as well. But just having that pen and paper next to you to jot some notes down, to get that thought out, right? And most of the time, you don't even need to tell anybody. It's for you, right? It's for you personally, that you need to get that thought out of you and on paper. And when you can do that, right, you get that thought out on paper and down. Maybe you tell somebody about whatever it is that's plaguing you, that's you're thinking about. You let it sit overnight, and maybe you found the solution, that it's okay. You don't like, it's dealt with, right? You got it out of you, and it was maybe just a complaint, maybe how you could do something better, and then you could address it with the proper person, tomorrow. But it was really a something that was bothering you, and you just need to get it out, right? To get it on paper, to get it out of you, to express it somehow. um, and the reason I say a lot of this too is to put it on, to write it down on paper, to not send that email, to not do that voice note, to not have anything recorded, is in our industry of construction and A&E firms. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do via the phone, so that it's not ever in discovery, right? That phone call can never be in discovery. What was said on that phone call is not recorded, and therefore it can never be brought up in a lawsuit. And so, a lot of the dumb things that we say in anger or emotionally, internally, right, to the people to vent to, we do it on a phone call, again, to avoid that in discovery and lawsuits. But again, if you write it down on pen and paper, and throw it away or burn it or whatever, right, you deal with it. But to get that out and have that release, that's a way to deal with those issues, those problems, so that you're not bottling it all up inside, right? I talk to a lot of guys within the industry, within construction, not only through the podcast, but just personally. And those guys are my friends. And, I talk through what I'm going through, whether it's a hard time or whether it's a good time, right? Like, I talk to a lot of guys, help them if they're struggling through whatever. And a lot of us do need that kind of friendship, companionship, if you will. But friendship, right? Camaraderie in the industry. Like, hey man, I know what you're going through. Here's how I solved it. Hey man, this is what I've done, And so I'm sharing it here for you guys. And I told this to a friend earlier today. I wanted to share it for you guys to let you know how, again, I would counsel somebody that's going through that, that's having that stress. Most of it's in your phone. It's very manageable. You just have to be able to put it down at the end of the day. Put that phone down and be present. Be present with your family, your wife, dogs, kids. That matters a lot. And having the ability to turn it all off at the end of the day, and just enjoy the movie, man. Enjoy your TV show. Enjoy dinner. Enjoy being present with your family and loved ones, is going to be just a huge benefit to you. When I got shingles, I was a single guy living alone in my apartment. I just call somebody up on a Tuesday, right? Hey, you want to go out, man? You want to get some beers? And I didn't live far from most places we went. So, not the best decisions in life, but that's what I did. And so I'm trying to save you from those lessons that I learned at a young age, and go through those stress, feeling like the weight of the world's on your shoulders. It's okay, man. Like, it's truly okay talk to somebody to put that phone down, to deal with it tomorrow. It'll still be there when you get in the office, and you're still going to be productive. You're not going to be um, labeled as bad or lazy or any of that stuff, man, for just having some boundaries. 8 o'clock, shut it off, or pick a time, man. But don't make it like 10 midnight, 2 a.m. Right? You do not need to be readily available 24/7. Most of the stuff that we are involved in, you're not running two shifts, you're not working across 10-hour time zones. It's not needed, man. You'll deal with it tomorrow. Just make a list, prioritize, and be grateful for the opportunities that you do have in front of you. There's a lot that you're doing, a lot of good work that you're a part of, and something to be proud of. So for all of you out there that are struggling to feel like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, first talk to somebody, 2, put that phone down, and 3, write things down. Pen, paper will be your friend through this whole process. And again, I just thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully this helps you if you're in that place in life. So until next time, thanks, guys.